Chair, you're good to go.
Great, thank you. Call to order this February 23rd, 2026 design review joint planning commission, I'm sorry. Joint,
Planning Commission.
planning commission design review committee meeting. Can I have a roll call, please?
John Gregg, present.
Glenn Cass, present.
Armand Hoyt present. Travis Causer, present.
Commissioner Raddench.
I'm Carl DeGiorgio.
Greg Mason, present. Stephen Barnes, planning commission, present.
Do we have an adoption of the agenda?
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Seconder? Any in favor?
Aye.
All right, staff, do we have any public comments?
There are no one on Zoom and no raised hands.
Actually, there is one on Zoom, but no raised hands.
For items, not on the agenda.
Oh, got it. I'm in the wrong place. Item 6.
Do you want to hold that or don't need to?
For anyone on Zoom who'd like to make comments on items not on the agenda, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom now. There are no hands raised.
All right. On the consent calendar, do we have a recommendation to approve the February 9 draft minutes as drafted?
I have one minor correction. On line 21 on page 5, it says that I had trouble following the 1,000 pages of building elevations. It was 1,000 pages of environmental data.
Okay.
That's right.
I felt it was outside the design review commission's purview to understand that level of detail.
So
Alright,
make
shall
a
we-
motion to accept with the modification.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
With that, we move to DB 0126 Satellite Affordable Housing Association, aka SAHA. Request to construct a 100% affordable housing project with 48 total units in a 4-story building with a maximum height of 50 feet and consisting of 47 low-income, 1 site manager's unit, including 25 parking spaces on a surface lot. Grade 5,900 cubic yards on 949 Moraga Road. Staff?
Good evening, commissioners, members of the public. My name is Stephanie Cervantes. I am the Assistant Planning Director for the Planning Department, and I will be giving the presentation for the application in front of you today, which is density bonus application 01-26 at 949 Moraga Road. So today we are looking at this application. It's a request for a density bonus application. Because of the nature of the application, which I will be explaining in a little more detail below, we are only looking at the density bonus portion of the application in a ministerial advisory capacity. The project also triggers a grading permit, a tree removal permit, and a lot merger that will all be reviewed and approved ministerially as well during the building permit process of the project. So the process for this project is a little bit unique. It's the first time the city has received an application of this sort. The project is a 100% affordable project, and due to certain state laws and our municipal code as well, the project is reviewed under ministerial review. The use itself is completely ministerial, and due to state laws, because their use is ministerial, the entire project, including the development, must be reviewed without discretionary review. And so that's why we're here. We're having a public meeting, but there's no formal action that the commissions will be taking today. The project will go to city council for confirmation because of the waivers, concessions, and incentives that are triggered by the state density bonus request. So again, the proposal is for the property at 949 Moraga, which is currently used as an existing parking lot, which will be demolished. The project will be constructing 48 units, 47 below market with 1 on-site manager unit, and will have 25 vehicle and 24 bike parking spaces. So here's some information to kind of put some context into the project itself. Again, it's on Moraga Road, between Moraga Boulevard and Brooks Street, across the street from Lafayette Elementary School. The parcel size is under an acre. It's 0.181 acres. It is zoned MRO, which is the multifamily office commercial district. The general plan is a downtown retail. It is in our downtown specific plan. And it is south of Mount Diablo Boulevard. So you may recall last May, both of these bodies met regarding this project as well, May 19 of 2025. And during that study session, the commissions provided feedback to the applicant. So in the staff report, and I'll just summarize, there's a comparison from what was last seen last year by the commissions versus what's being proposed now. So last year, the project had 6 different colors and material treatments. Some of the comments by the commissioners said it was a little too contrast. It needed to be a little bit simpler in the colors and treatments. And so now we have 3 different colors and material treatments that are being proposed. Some additional comments were regarding the landscaping, specifically the landscaping along Moraga Road and the front setback area of the property. The landscape area has generally stayed the same. However, some of the changes that have occurred is turning some of the area into bioretention, and then some of the raised landscape planters have also been removed to create a more leveled walking area from the sidewalk to the front of the building. So there's the removal, used to be some stairs and a ramp that have been removed, and now it's a more clear entryway into the building. There was also comments on the architecture. Some of the comments referred to the building looking not rounded. The round feature in the front was seen as a nice architectural feature, but it wasn't really integrated into the building. So that round feature has been removed. The overhang at the front has been reduced. And as you can tell, the architectural style of the overall building has changed. So we have now pitched roofs, we have step backs that just are more visually pleasing on both the facade that's right along Moraga and also the facade that's towards the back behind the parking. There was also some comments about parking and traffic. Staff did an analysis and determined that the project does not trigger any traffic analysis requirements. It's within half a mile apart, and it also is a use that will produce very low vehicle miles traveled, and so no traffic analysis was required for this project. Now I'm just going to go through the project description itself. This is the site plan for the project. You can see the footprint as well as the parking areas with the tandem configuration. And you can also see the one-way in, one-way out on Moraga Road, and also the open space to the rear of the property. The first floor of the building has a smaller footprint due to the slope that's at the rear of the property. So the first floor will have a lobby space, office space, as well as conference space, a bike storage area, multi-purpose room, a teaching kitchen, as well as a fitness room. There is access to the outdoor space that's towards the rear of the site. And there will also just be some general mechanical storage, maintenance, and office and storage as well here. The second to fourth floor footprints are very similar. They all contain 1 and 2 bedroom units. However, the second floor will contain a resident lounge. It will also have the manager's unit, which is a 3 bedroom unit that's at the rear of the site. And the second floor will also have access to the courtyard that's at the second level. The third floor has a caregiver lounge versus a resident lounge. And the fourth floor has a resident laundry lounge versus the resident lounge caregiver lounge. All the levels will also have caregiver offices, trash rooms, and storage areas. I'm just gonna go through some elevations quickly. So this is what you'll see from Moraga Road. This is the front elevation. This is the west elevation. And this is what you'll see from the office building to the south. Here is the south elevation. And then the north elevation, this is what you'll see from the daycare, the religious use to the north. This is a rendering from Moraga Road. Again, the architectural style has really changed from what you saw last year. I'm just going through some compliance. So again, as a ministerial project, staff has reviewed this versus objective standards. And so this gives you a kind of summary of what the standards are for this property versus what's being proposed. So as you can see, the density is proposed at 65 dwelling units per acre above the 35 dwelling units per acre. I'll explain that in one moment. And then there are waivers requested for setbacks, height, floor area ratio, open space, and landscape. There is no waiver requested for parking because the project site is within half a mile apart and it's not required any parking. So this kind of explains how the project site is getting to 48 units per acre. So based on the 35 dwelling units per acre, the site could accommodate 29 base units. There's some brief information about the city's inclusionary ordinance, which would require a minimum of 5 below market rate units on this property. The property is providing 47 low income units, which grants this project an 80% density bonus, which is 24 units above. Because of the lot merger as well, we do have a housing element program that would allow the project to take advantage of a 5% additional density bonus above the base density. And so adding all that up, the project site would be allowed 55 units above the base density of 29, and they are proposing 48. This is just some additional details on the waivers. I'll just go through them pretty quickly. So for height, because of the type of project that the site that they're proposing, they actually are allowed additional 3 stories or 33 feet above the base height. They are requesting a waiver on height because our height requirements also have a 3rd and 4th floor step back requirements from Moraga Road. And so that they've just been combined here. As I mentioned earlier, there's also a waiver request from the front, side, and rear setbacks to reduce those from 20, 10, and 15 to what you see on the screen, 7.5, 3 to 10. The site is also, the project is also proposing 1.6 floor area ratio versus 1, which would be allowed for the zoning district. The waivers for open space and landscape are a little unique because the project is proposing the minimum 30% of open space and the minimum 20% of landscape area. However, the landscape areas don't meet the requirements of that code section. So both of those code sections require that those areas have a minimum dimension of 10 feet. The project is using some areas that are less than 10 feet dimension in order to meet those requirements. And the open space section requires that open space be on the 1st floor. They are proposing a 2nd story open space area. So that's where this waiver kicks in. And then we also have 2 waivers on the downtown objective standard. So we have 1 waiver of CL2 for the landscape that will reduce the landscape area in the front yard area. And will also reduce from 7 trees to 3 trees. And for, the bulk, ED1, that objective design standard requires that second and third stories be smaller than the first floor. Due to the slope on the site, the ground floor is much smaller than the second, third, and fourth floor, and so the waiver is necessary for this design. So again, as a ministerial project, the staff has only looked at objective standards that apply to this project. However, we have generally determined that the project does comply with our general plan, our downtown specific plan, as well as ODS and our downtown design guidelines. In that it's a project that includes pedestrian oriented design. It does enhance that site with additional landscaping and enhanced sidewalk in that area. And so again, generally the project is those designs, even though they're not objective design standard. The project is categorically exempt under the infill development. Like I mentioned. This meeting was publicly noticed. We did send out notice to 500 foot radius from the project site on February 10th, and we also posted that notice in 3 locations on February 11th. Staff has not received any public comments regarding this application submittal. So again, the recommendation today is to review the proposal, provide feedback to the applicant, and provide a general recommendation to City Council regarding the project design. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any questions for staff?
I just had a question. I wasn't clear on the open space on the second floor where that was located.
So this is the floor plan for the second level. Oh, you're not seeing my screen?
Yeah, hold on.
I just found
it.
it.
I'm still seeing this one. Are you in Zoom?
I am. Share again. Here we go. All right.
Two.
So sorry, this is the floor plan for the second floor. So you can see here from the resident lounge, there is a doorway as well from the hallway here that goes into the second level courtyard.
Mhm.
And if I go. So here you can see kind of the area that leads up to the second level courtyard that is in this space here. And then here's a better plan that shows that second level.
Okay, that's great.
Okay. Does the applicant have a presentation?
Do I go there to start?
Please.
Hi, good evening, and thank you so much for this opportunity tonight. I'm Rosemary Kerbach. I'm a Sunflower board member and chair of the Land Committee and also the project lead for the 949 Moraga Road project. And on behalf of the development team, we just wanted to tell you we really are looking forward to tonight to learning from you, hearing your ideas, your questions, any concerns. We think we learned a lot from our last meeting back in May. So we really look forward to that as well. Saha and Sunflower Hill have always considered the city a partner in this project as well. We're very grateful to city staff, city council, and all of the commissioners for all the work you have done to date on this project. And so yeah, without further ado, I'm going to be very brief because we've already covered a lot with Sunflower Hill. I know you're all familiar with it. I'm going to turn it over to our architect team of PyTalk. Thank you.
Okay. You want to do it?
Yeah. So that is a little bit about Sunflower. Thank you, Rosemary. My name is Adrienne Steichen. I'm a principal at Piatak Architects, the project architect for the project. Most of what you're gonna see, Stephanie has already well covered. So I will go through it very, very quickly. Again, the site, the number of units, 48, a 4-story building, just under 55 feet, with 25 surface parking spaces. Go ahead. Some site photos in case, just to give you some familiarity with the site. It's directly across the street from the elementary school on Moraga Road. It's currently mostly a surface parking lot with the hill coming down into the parking lot, and it has one access point from Moraga Road. Some context that we've looked at here in Lafayette that we have referred to in our conversations with the planning staff as examples of what's happening in terms of multifamily housing in Lafayette and really guiding us in sort of architectural style and attitudes. Good. These are some additional examples of architecture that we are looking at as inspiration for this project in terms of modularity, facade manipulation, pitched roofs, window fenestration, and breaking down the size of windows. Again, we are across the street from the elementary school and just down the street from Lafayette United Methodist, and are sort of trying to snuggle ourselves into the hill and present a warm facade to Moraga Road. Go ahead. So you've seen this perspective. Go ahead again. This is more of a straight on view of those buildings. In color, you've seen the elevations, but this is a little more of a rendered straight on view. Go ahead. You can keep going. These you've seen. And I think these you have seen. Perhaps a little more detail on the landscape than you've seen up to date with the second floor courtyard landscaped, as well as the rear courtyard with access from the fitness space and the resident space, multi-use space on the ground floor, as well as some access, direct outdoor access for the teaching kitchen. And then offices really up front where they get to interact with residents all the time. Go ahead. Some images of the landscape elements that we are currently proposing. So, you know, low ground cover, soft ground cover, a couple of spots of color, outdoor bicycle racks, making sure that we have movable, adjustable furniture, and are also making sure that we have a place for sort of trash and site management. Good. You've seen these. I think you can go through these relatively quickly. A version of these plans with color, so you can hopefully see where the common use spaces and the caregiver offices are a little more clearly. Orange is caregiver space and blue is resident space or service to the building space. Yellows are all residential apartments. Go ahead. And of course, we're gonna put as much solar PV on here as we can manage. Make sure that we're being responsible stewards of our environment as best we possibly can. Those pitched roofs are helping us in terms of orienting for south and west to catch the most amount of sun that we can. Okay. Just a closer look of unit plans. If you're curious, these are the typical 1 and 2 bedrooms for the residents. And then go ahead. And then here's the manager's unit. The manager's unit would have an in-unit laundry facility, but otherwise be a pretty typical 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, as we've currently got it. And that's it that we have for you today. I'm happy to answer any questions along the way. Yes.
Not that makes that much for this, but why solar photovoltaic rather than solar thermal?
I think we still need to sort that out. We're just onboarding our MEP team, and I think we'll consider what makes best. One of the most recent projects I did in Palo Alto had some solar thermal as well as the solar PV, so it's a mix.
Yeah, the reason why I was asking is solar thermal would generally require a penthouse on the roof,
Uh-huh,
which changes the appearance and stuff like that.
Right.
All electric.
yeah, no, and this is an all electric building, so,
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can you explain the tandem parking in terms of the operation? How does it work?
yeah, I mean, I think that, I don't know if you wanna answer that around the tandem parking. This is a pretty low use, a lot of this parking will be cars that aren't used all the time. And so they don't have the same high demand of needing to get in and out of their spaces all the time. And so we think that that's a way to achieve some capacity that makes sense for this occupant group.
And are the parking gonna be assigned to units or?
Are they gonna be assigned? No.
So it's all gonna be shared?
Are there any restrictions on turns out of the parking lot?
You know, I think that's something that we need to continue to work with the city on about where and if there are restrictions on the turns.
I assume you've seen the feedback from the county fire protection district?
Yes.
It looks to me like you have some redesign work to do to accommodate that. What's your
We
thought?
potentially have some redesign work. I think one of the things that we will do is accommodate that without significantly affecting the exterior design.
Your footprint is gonna be able to work with that?
We're working through that right now. But that's the goal, yes.
Okay, and then the other question I have, some of your windows are very close to property lines.
They are sufficiently far away for fire protection.
They are, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there rooftop on the second floor? Is that an A3 occupancy?
The patio,
Yeah.
it is going to be an A3 occupancy. It will have two means of egress as a result.
One of them is through intervening space. The other one is opening into a hallway with
Right.
an outswing door, which is minimizing the width of an accessible egress.
Yeah,
Egress
and
access, yeah.
yeah.
So
Are you concerned about occupant load?
no, the code requirement for one dedicated
Yeah.
exit from the A3 occupancy on the upper floors. It's just something I would suggest.
Yeah,
looking
thank
into.
you.
Yeah.
We'll also certainly, work on the occupant load of that space to make
Sure.
it as safe as possible.
Yeah, it's the means of egress.
Mhm.
One of them needs to go through exit rather than exit
Sure.
access. Yeah.
Yes,
You might go back to the rendering. It was like a 3D from up above and then there was a shadow. Just curious if you guys, and I really like the renderings and I just asked staff if we could put those in the report if we get them. It's so much easier to visualize for me. Did you all by chance talk, go back, there's one more.
One more?
before this.
We're back?
One more, keep going,
there you go.
that one.
Yeah.
Cause that's the first one I really could get a sense of size and mass, and
Mm-hmm.
which is what we're supposed to look at a little more. I'm just curious if you guys have talked to the neighbors. I know you don't, there's no discretionary here. I'm not sure why we're here, but there's no discretionary, but despite that, we all want success here. So I'm just curious if you've been able to talk to them, and if there's been any feedback.
I have not spoken with
I mean,
neighbors,
like,
but
the applicant as a
Yeah.
whole. We're about to. Okay. I just think it'd be good because,
Yeah.
it's better to see it now and get it hammered out before, the first truck starts hammering nails. And then, I was curious why, if you could do 55, you did 48. What's the backstory,
I would say it's a mix of being responsive to the objective design standards, communication that we've had with the planning staff around step backs and reduced height. Wanting to make sure that we have sufficient open space, and not adding another story to the building.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's your guys' design, because you didn't design over the parking lot, so there were been other ways of doing it. Some might add costs, other things.
Yeah,
I mean, I think you know, someday this won't be the biggest building on the block. It'll be a long time, but
Mhm.
right now it might be, but someday it'll look small, you know, so, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes,
The walkway, do you mind going, is,
on the south side,
is the left side?
right is
Yeah.
north, because of the
Yeah, so
orientation of
south
the
side.
site,
South
yeah.
side.
right
Yeah,
is
on
north.
that image, yes, the south side. Seeing that it connects right to Moraga Road,
Mhm.
it's nice for the residents, but is there gonna be a way to prevent the public from going back there, or is it open to anybody to walk around?
No, it's probably a little hard to see. It's right
There
on
is a
the
gate?
cloud of the tree canopy. There is a gate. And fence control there
yeah.
on the pathway. It
Okay.
is a little hard to see, but it is there.
Okay, I'm personally glad to see that. I remember when this came before us about 6 months ago.
Mhm.
I personally really like this design. I think it feels softer and more like cozy and welcoming. So I appreciate that the feedback was listened to, or considered. The one thing that's making me a little uncomfortable is the manager unit being 3 bedrooms. Is it anticipated that a manager would live there with a family? 'Cause all the others are 1 or 2
Yeah.
bedrooms, so 3 bedrooms and 2 bath feels large for 1 person, unless it's envisioned for a family. Can you help me understand?
Yeah, it varies, but it creates more capacity in sort of the recruitment of a manager for buildings like this, where they do live on site, and this allows somebody with a family or a growing family or
So it could
interest
be
in
a
growing.
family.
It could be a family, yeah. And this creates that opportunity for it to
Okay.
be that person.
Yeah, I was just wondering. Thanks. Those are my questions.
I have one question. On the rendering from the Moraga Road view, can you pull that up, please?
This straight on one?
Yeah, can we go to the main rendering, the one that's on the, cover sheet? So the unit A2 on the, kind of that right-hand wing, when I'm looking at this rendering versus the elevations, the size of some of those windows, they change. I'm just curious which one is more updated. Is it
It's a little in flux.
Yeah.
As we refine those units. But the intent is that there would be fenestration openings on both the north facade and the Moraga Road
Sure.
facade. That we wouldn't make a blank wall anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to that point, do you have the drawing set, sheet A3.20? I think you could see that.
Mhm.
That some of the size of these windows, they are just getting smaller and smaller, and it's in a bedroom. It just doesn't relate to the rest of the size of the fenestration on the other side of the building. So I would just recommend just keep that consistency throughout the elevations, especially on the front side of the building. So that's one thing. The other thing, there are some reliefs in the renderings that we see some movements in the walls that we don't perceive that in the plans. Can you explain that?
Can you point to a specific example?
For example, that unit A2 at the end of that wing, you could see there are some massing changes in the rendering. That's in the plan, it's just a straight wall.
Yeah, if you go up a floor to the step back level. That's where those switch from being 2 bedrooms to 1 bedrooms, 1 more floor up. So on the 6 and 12 pitch roof, that is coming out as if it is a roof line that might have come from the same exterior wall as that A unit.
Right.
But there is, if you go back 1 level, there is actually a small wall shift happening there. And I think some of that is happening just as we go through a design process where we're tweaking and changing and using our renderings to design the building as we go. So I think there's perhaps some, like we make a change, it doesn't quite get to this moment. Or we don't make a change and it doesn't catch up.
Sure.
Yeah. But it's all sort of a design process
Yeah.
tool.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Sure. Yes.
A couple of, I'm curious about the bicycle, and this may be for staff too.
Sure.
The calculations on the bicycles, so
Yeah.
it seems with the adoption of e-bikes that the width requirements would have changed. The calculations, and what's your approach towards that?
Yeah, so we do tend to make sure that those are well covered by electrical outlets so that folks can charge e-bikes. They can be, have similar problems that sometimes Teslas have, where the batteries are not maintained well and get overcharged and overheat. And so that's always something to be monitored. But we are planning for sort of two different kinds of rack storage here. The racks on the left are the ones that you have to vertically rack. And then the racks on the right, you just sort of roll your bike in, and that's gonna be easier for the heavier bikes like an e-bike.
Okay.
Yeah.
Regarding grading, and I know I saw it in the exhibit, it mentioned how much was gonna be cut, but it didn't make sense to me. Are we talking about many dump truck loads of dirt or not very much? I don't know what the infill or exfill would be.
We are currently going through a process to manage and make sure that we're balancing how much offal there is happening on there. I think that's all to be sort of
okay.
refined.
Yeah.
As we take next steps in the design process.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just one real quick one. Can you, this is more for my understanding. What are the functional differences of the units for the intended recipient versus say just market rate,
Yeah.
Is there just high level, you could say what's different about them?
I think that we are looking for high socialization opportunities. The reason there's a U kitchen is so that somebody can sit, on the opposite side of the island and talk to somebody while they're cooking. If they have a caregiver with them, that's an opportunity for that person who might be in the kitchen to be with the resident who's in the living room. The 2 bedrooms are opportunities for roommates, to share spaces, particularly if they also have, caregivers who might be the same. And then the durability, for all affordable housing, we promote high durable finishes, fixtures, easy to use, accessible, low flow, all the good things.
And we might have heard this, I know you presented before, but what's the basic, is it like a rental contract? How does someone, what's their term? Just basic stuff like that.
Yeah, and I don't know if you want to address that directly.
Yeah. Like any renter, they enter into a legally binding lease. And our hope is then, and our goal, Sunflower Hill and Saha, is that will become permanent housing for them. We have very little turnover at Sunflower Hill Irby Ranch, so the goal is really these residents can age in place.
Okay, and then how does that work for the roommates? Is that something that over time there's good matches that then become roommates, or do they come in as roommates?
I think it can vary. I think they can come in as roommates, or if a roommate left, another one could come in. And the 2 bedrooms are also designed for, there could be a resident who might need 24/7 caregiving help and assistance as well. So, it's a tiny bit speculative because we don't know who the residents are and, exactly what their needs are, but the goal is, for independent living for all the residents, and recognizing that independent looks different for every resident depending on their needs.
Okay.
And we see that at Irby Ranch.
Thank you.
Yes.
Your elevations are nice and big. Can you talk a little bit about ducting? Because 1 bedroom intake and exhaust can get a little tight.
Yeah, we are just getting into that kind of coordination with our mechanical engineers. So I think that that's all TBD, but it's a known challenge to make sure that you've got exhaust far away from operable windows, that you've got intake separated far enough from exhaust, especially from the neighboring unit, et cetera. So we'll work through all of that
Okay.
for sure.
In other words, you don't see that you might have to go single hung windows or do something exotic going up through the roof.
All to be determined, but we do these projects all the time. These are standard width units for us. In fact, actually, right around our standard width, standard depth,
Okay.
the duct runs are not gonna be too long and none of that. Yeah.
The city engineer had a page of comments. I don't know if you had seen that yet. One of which had to do with the sidewalk and the question of whether that was gonna be closer to the original plan or whether you're gonna need a variance from the city. Have you seen that or addressed that yet?
We have seen that comment. I think we're in the process of addressing that with our civil and landscape engineers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any more questions for the applicant?
Can we talk about landscaping a little bit?
Sure.
And what's the kind of overall idea for landscaping the site, planting?
Yeah, so landscape in the front is gonna do a lot of the heavy lifting on the bioretention. That's where a lot of that's gonna happen. All the runoff from the parking lot needs to be managed, as well as roof runoff from the building. The rear courtyard is really about respite, relaxation, but also an opportunity for some activity, whether that's flowing out from the fitness space or the multi-purpose room, that we're really thinking about how this space gets lived in. As the south, one of the reasons we've really cited the building the way we have is to take advantage of that south landscape area. And then the second courtyard is really about spilling out from that resident lounge, and being an opportunity, I think, a little bit to be an overlook and sort of watch what's going on Moraga Road and see the activity of that without having to be in it, and be safe from it.
Can we pull up the landscape plan by any chance? Thank you. One question I have is that there is a fire retention planter just along the Moraga Road. I'm curious, is there any other places close to the surface parking lot that could get replaced?
Yeah, if you want to bring that up. Yeah. Just a second. Sure.
But if you just zoom in along the Moraga Road where the surface parking is, right? That strip of landscape, two more to the bottom right, please. Right.
Yep.
That bioretention planting area, could that move to other places nearby to allow for more, maybe taller landscaping along that strip?
Yeah, we're working on balancing sort of screening of the parking.
Right.
As well as the bioretention needs along that facade. So that's one of the things that we're working through with the landscape and civil design is, is that actually more area than civil needs to do the bioretention? We are looking into that.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other comment or questions for the applicant? No. Do we have any public comments?
If anyone is participating on Zoom and would like to make a comment, please raise your hand. Okay. Seeing no hands raised, we'll move to public comment in the room, and Chair, you have one speaker slip.
All right, Ms. Callahan Klein, please. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Callahan Klein, and my husband Jonathan and our adult daughter Lillian live on Victoria Avenue. And Lillian is 27. She has autism and a number of developmental disabilities. And I just wanted to say 3 things about this project. The first thing is that Lillian is so excited about this project. It's not certain that she will be a part of it or anyone she knows will be a part of it, But she came to testify a couple of months ago in support of the project because she just feels it's very important that in this community that people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and a variety of different capabilities are seen in the community. And she's seen that growing up. She went to Lafayette Elementary, she went to Contra Costa Jewish Day School, and she ended up finishing high school at Springstone. And so she knows this is a really friendly community, but having a space that's right in the center of town for people like Lillian just made her very, very excited. The second thing that I want to say is that this kind of development, the design and the thoughtfulness of the team, plus all of you, really makes a difference. Lillian and I went out to Irby Ranch recently, and she has a classmate who lives there, as well as a member of our synagogue who lives there. And when she came in, watching her respond just to the design was incredible. Because she came in and she was like, Mom, there's places where people can really meet. Did you see that courtyard outside? Wow, they have a fitness room. There's a kitchen where she just graduated from culinary school, and we're starting a culinary business, and she's very excited about kitchens. But it was really interesting watching her just respond to the design. And then as we went inside to walk through the units, she was commenting not only on the residence lounges, but also on the caregiver lounge. And she was just talking about how important it was that everybody had a space where they could go to meet others and also go to have time away. And the units themselves, her friends live there and they work for them. And then the very last thing that I would say is, as a parent, every person with a child like ours will tell you your greatest fear is, where will my child be living when I die? And who's the community? And the beauty about this is like a Russian nested doll, right? If Lillian lived there, or someone like Lillian lived there and never left the building, there's a community there. There's support, there's interaction, even looking out the window, you can be a part of it. As they leave that building, there is all kinds of things that are available to them. You can get your groceries, you can walk, hopefully soon, to the movie theater. You'll be able to be a part of it. I know I've got to stop. So I just wanted to say, it really gives me great comfort to know that there's not just this building, not just the community right there, but it's the whole community that makes it possible. So just wanted to thank you.
Thank you very much. Is that all for public comment?
If there's anyone in the room who would like to do a public comment, please say no.
No one's online, anyone? Final commissioners' comments?
No, well, sorry, it is kind of a question, or I'll just put it out there since we're already done with the question part, but hopefully the open spaces have access to sunshine at portions of the day and are only in the shade. Okay, I see heads nodding, so perfect.
I have just a last comment that I am very excited about the changes that were made between last time you came and this time. I think that overall, I really like the progress that was made, and I'm still very supportive of this project.
I'm very supportive of the project. I'm glad to see the progress that has been made. I'm glad that we went with the slope roofs. That was an improvement that will be liked by the community. I would like some work done on the bioretention area, okay? The goal is to have parking on the major thoroughfares less visible from the thoroughfare itself. Obviously, it's very visible, and if you make that a bioretention, it really limits you on the amount of bushes or whatever that will give you a higher profile to sort of hide that. Now, whether or not you can do some small fence or something, I don't know, but I think that area needs to have some attention to it. In the earlier landscaping plan on your study session, you had community garden concept. I'd like, you know, it doesn't look like that's there anymore, but that would be something that also would be nice to see back into the project. And then lastly, on my comments is I really think there needs to be restrictions on the turns. This is a very, very critical area. We've had accidents because of the number of people that walk across at the church. And if you're trying to redirect your view in multiple directions with so much activity, it's gonna lead to a problem unless we basically have right-hand turns out of the lot. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I too am supportive of the project. I think it's a very nice thing. It will be a very nice thing to have in Lafayette. And I appreciate your mission and what you're doing for people who need this kind of environment. I do have a few concerns about the current building design. The place that comes closest to Moraga Road, that end of the main bar building, I think the relationship to the street, I could only describe as unfortunate. It hits at an angle, it's within the normal setback, so it's further forward than every other building on the street. And further, there are overhangs that way over the sidewalk. I think it's not a nice urban experience to walk by the facade as it's designed today. I would like to see it aligned with the street. I know not every building is aligned with the street, but this one is so close to it that it would be nice if it respects the urban form of street. And I would prefer personally not to see overhangs above me when I'm walking on the sidewalk. But I'm more concerned, as I perhaps implied with my question to the design team. I think it is quite possible that substantial design change is going to be required to accommodate the requirements of the fire department. And I'd be happy to be wrong there if you've got it figured out. But I would suggest that before you go to city council, you make sure that's solved, because I think it may change your design and change your numbers and change something in your footprint. But that said, I hope you solve it. We'd love to have you in our town.
I also support this. Growing, I had two friends who have autistic children, and my son's longtime college roommate was second of four boys, one older and one younger were autistic. And as much as you talk about making sure they get out in public so people can see them, which I think is very important, it also helps if their families are there with them, because it teaches everybody else how to interact with them, how to have patience, how, you know, not to get embarrassed when their child, their autistic sibling is having a meltdown, because the siblings of the autistic people I know are some of the nicest, most generous, patient people you've ever met. So anyway, good luck to you on this.
I'm also in support of the project. One suggestion I have is that as the design is evolving into the next steps, I encourage just maintaining the rhythm and the size of the windows as shown in the renderings in the design. That's really helping with refining the elevation of the building from the main street. And also I second what Glenn mentioned about the screening of the parking from the street. And if there's any opportunities of adding taller landscaping along that street, I would quite encourage that.
To conclude, I sincerely hope this project moves forward. My nephew has special needs, and in this community, I strongly believe that it is a value add to have people of that background in and around our schools, our community, our jobs. So I really hope this moves forward. I strongly believe that there are issues, the right-hand turn out of that parking lot, I think is a must. That is an exceedingly busy thoroughfare. I would strongly recommend you work on, if you can, try and get that. The bioretention basin in the front, if you can reach that, that would be excellent. Again, to Commissioner Cass's comments, the overhang would be out of place for that walkway, given that so many students walk around that area. It would feel more urban than it ought to. And the fire issues obviously need to be addressed. With that, staff, I don't believe there's a vote here. So I think unless anyone would like to add, we wish you luck. It's a great project. It just, tweaking makes it perfect. With that, move to adjourn.
No, we have 7.
Move to items, continued public hearing,
There are none.
which there are.
And good question.
Yeah, exactly. Art volunteer, Glenn?
Yes.
Excellent. Any commissioners' reports? On either side, staff liaisons report,
None.
and now we would love to adjourn.